Now available on Lulu. John Haynes at Death's Door. The man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes comic book. Get your copy of the first John Haynes comic at lulu.com today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, A Steam Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. I've been a supporter of independent crowdfunded comics for years, and I've found many fan-favorite comics through going out here and supporting independent crowdfunded comics. That's how I discovered many great comics like Josh Howard's T-Bird and Throttle, and Corey Hardiman's Sister Mercy, and The Exorcist Club. And while I've enjoyed many of those crowdfunded projects, what I'm not really fond of is this whole new trend of things going on as related to crowdfunded comics, as related to some business practices. Now, one of the business practices I'm having a real serious issue with is this whole new trend of some comic crowdfunders going out here and putting up one price as related to a physical edition of their comics, and then once the project is over, they then take you over to BackerKit, and once you go over to BackerKit, you get hit with an extra charge for shipping. Now that, to me, is a very unethical practice and is something that Kickstarter and BackerKit really need to stop, because this whole approach to crowdfunding is one of those ones that alienates me as a guy who collects crowdfunded comics and would make it where I wouldn't want to even put in a pledge for that comic, because I'm going to be hit with an additional charge that basically I don't know what it's going to be for shipping. Now, when it comes to this whole approach, again, this is one that I'm absolutely disgusted by, and I really believe it's extremely unethical to put one charge for the comic and another for the shipping. No, if you have a crowdfunded project, what you need to do is be upfront with the price of the comic and the price of the shipping. That's what we saw in the beginning with crowdfunded projects. Usually, good creators, they'll go out here and let you know what the cost of that comic is and what the cost of the shipping is up front, and then you can decide to put in your pledge for that project. That's the way I believe things need to be done. And if I see a project, even if it's a great project, and they start pulling this stuff where they put one price for the comic and then another price for the shipping later on, that's a project I'm not going to put a pledge in for, and one that I would say that you shouldn't put in a pledge for either, because if you cannot really maintain a consistent pricing plan for your comics and your shipping, it, one, shows this individual really does not know how to do business, and two, doesn't understand the concept of budgeting and logistics. Because when I was doing my own Kickstarter, John Haynes at Death's Door, back in 2022, I worked out all of those logistical issues as related to budget and pricing so that I could be able to maintain a fair price for the paper copy of the comic plus the shipping, and make sure that I would be able to factor in the cost of each individual's comic plus the shipping supplies plus the postage. And that's all part of the logistics I did before I even put fingers to the keyboard to even start launching the proposal for the Kickstarter. I did all of that logistical work, and if the creators can't do that kind of work, then maybe they shouldn't be in this business. Now, another issue I'm having with many crowdfunded comic creators is them being able to get their projects out on time. This is an issue I've seen with a lot of individuals who go out here and post up proposals for comics on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. They will go out here and post up their proposed comic, and people will put in their money for a comic, but in some cases what will happen is these comics won't appear for sometimes a year or even 2 to 3 years, and that basically happens possibly due to, again, issues as related to logistics, because these individuals really, they want to make comics, but they don't understand that comics are a business. And with comics being a business, you need to work out your logistics before you launch your campaign, and you need to work out your logistics to make sure that your art is done, your lettering is done, or on the way to being done, so that these comics can come out in a timely manner. Now, when I was doing my comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, I made sure to work all those logistics out before I even launched the Kickstarter, and I basically started working on that comic in 2021, and as I worked through 2021 all the way to 2022, when I was ready to launch, I had the full book ready. I'd already had the artist Antonio Balderi do all the artwork. I had everything done from the cover to cover, and I had all the pages completed, and I had all the book lettered, so the book was basically ready to go. And it was ready to go because one of the things I wanted to do was leave a strong first impression on all my customers. I wanted to leave that first impression that, one, I would have a full book ready for them, and two, the book would be of high quality, and three, it would be shipped almost immediately. And once the Kickstarter was completed and I got the funds for the book, that book basically went out early instead of coming out on the specific targeted time of November. That book was basically out by the end of August, and it was out by the end of August because I had worked out all the logistics for that book, and I had worked out those logistics to the point where that book could again come out and be in people's hands in digital and paperback, so that all customers would have product. That's what I did because, again, I care about my customers, and I wanted to build a reputation for my brand of SJS Direct, and I wanted to make sure that customers had a great reading experience. But what I see in the crowdfunding community is a lot of creators out here, this small group, being very sloppy, and it has a negative impact on all the business of other indie comic creators when people aren't on point. It basically deters people from wanting to put in a pledge for a comic that could be a great concept because people don't know how to work out logistics, and because they don't know how to work out logistics, people get frustrated when they have to sit there and deal with things like being hit with an additional shipping charge, which is very frustrating when these books cost anywhere from $15 to $25 to even $40 a book, and then to be hit with another shipping charge that just makes people's blood boil, and it makes it where they look at when they see your name on a Kickstarter or a crowdfunding project or your company's name, they basically aren't going to be eager to put in another pledge for another book because you weren't transparent with them from minute one regarding the overall costs. Because if you were honest with them and told them, okay, yeah, this book is going to cost $25 with $20 for the book and $10 for shipping, people can deal with that, or any kind of cost like that. They can deal with that because you're being honest. But when you come back through the back door with the shipping, it comes across as dishonest and turns people off. So people don't see how they're doing damage to their business in the long term, because some of people, they're just thinking, oh, I'm getting my comic out, but you're not thinking about the customer's experience or the relationship you're forming with the customer. Same thing for the individual who basically takes forever to get a book out. This person also is hurting their reputation and their brand, because people went out here and they spent 60 days waiting for this book to get crowdfunded, and then you take a year, 2 years, even 3 years to get a book out, and it just really shows complete unprofessionalism at that point, because you should be able to have this book on its way out, or on its way to, or basically being completed if you want to do the crowdfunding. Because again, crowdfunding is supposed to be about helping you get the funds to be able to get things done. But if you can't get things done in a timely manner, people are going to question your competence and your credibility. Now, I know it takes a lot of work to get things together myself, because I've done crowdfunding projects. I did one ISIS in a Steam book for the Night of the Vampires in a Steam Undercover that came out a couple of years ago in 2015, and got that one funded. and I did the John Haynes at Death's Door Kickstarter, but there were other Kickstarters I wanted to do. I wanted to do one for the ISIS graphic novel, and now I understand you have to have your logistics together. That's one of the things I try to do with projects now, is make sure that the logistics are together so that people can get books in a timely manner. I don't want to see people having to wait over a year or 2 years to get a book. No, I try to make sure that I get all the logistics done, and try to make sure that I get all the artwork and everything done if I do another project. I mean, I would love to do another ISIS graphic novel to go along with the John Haynes and Esteem comics I've done. I wanted to do an ISIS graphic novel, but the thing that holds me back is the shortage of funds. And again, when I do that project, when I get that chance, again, I want to make sure the logistics are right so that people get the same experience they got at John Haynes at Death's Door, where you're getting a full comic on time, and a full comic on time and ready to go with the lettering done and everything done, and all you have to do is put in your pledge and pick up your books. I want to make sure that the customer is satisfied at the end of the day. But this new trend I'm seeing with Kickstarters and Indiegogos of people, again, trying to slip in the shipping, and also looking to take forever to get books out. This is just not a good thing for the crowdfunding business, because if people can't get books in a timely manner, again, this hurts the comic business, and hurts it where people don't have that incentive to go buy comics because they don't trust the publisher to get things out on time. And a lot of this can be rectified by people learning more about the business, learning about how logistics work and how turnaround works for printing, and working with printers to get stuff out at cost. I mean, these are things that you have to think about and work out when you're doing things. I know there's a learning curve to publishing, but you have to learn how this business works before you start going out here and doing projects, because it's better for you to learn how it works first than go out here and have a bad project and give people a bad experience. And that's one of the things I've had with several crowdfunders, where books don't get delivered, books don't show up on time, or books, again, they just don't come out at all. I mean, this basically makes it where I have a more interest in keeping money in my pocket than sharing it with independent creators, something I love to do. But if the independent creators don't go out here and deliver on the product, then I don't really see a reason to keep investing in them. And again, this is hurting the whole business, because all it takes is one bad experience to turn people off on supporting crowdfunded projects. And I really don't want to see creators suffer because of a few bad apples in the bunch. And that's why I have to sit down and I'm talking about this, because I don't really want to see other creators have to lose out on revenue and lose out on readership, all because people can't understand basic concepts as related to customer service, basic concepts as related to customer relations, basic understanding of how to treat customers. I mean, one of the things I try to do is, again, make sure that I have an open way to communicate with people and get the word out about SJS Direct projects. And after I get the word out, I try to make sure that they get their products on time, and make sure that they get their products on time, because if they get their products on time, it incentivizes them to buy more products. And that's what you want to do, to build your reputation and your brand. And that's something that's desperately needed in this whole area of crowdfunding. Now, my first full comic that I did in a 2022 Kickstarter, John Haynes at Death's Door, is now available on Lulu.com in paperback. And you can pick up that paperback version at Lulu right now for the same price as a 2022 Kickstarter. And you can get a digital version of John Haynes at Death's Door on Amazon.com right now on Kindle and Comixology. And you can also pick up my first other digital comic, Esteem No Good Deed. That's available on Kindle right now for 99 cents. And you can find that Esteem story in the back of the Esteem series book, Esteem Blast from the Past. And you can also pick up the other books in the SJS Direct universe that I hope to one day turn into comics and graphic novels, such as those in the ISIS series, the Esteem series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, my vampire novel Eternal Night, and my novel The Thetas, and the novel Recipe for Success. You can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to help me be able to make the next SJS Direct graphic novel or pay for the covers on upcoming SJS Direct books, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, All About the Goddess. The Goddess Next Door bears all in the art studio to catch a campus stalker in this action-packed Isis series mystery. Get your copy of Isis, All About the Goddess in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The Goddess Next Door takes on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess featuring a bonus pin-up and the other 2 books in the Cyber Goddess saga at online booksellers everywhere today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.